Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, it is
PPT?
visible.
Yes, yes. Kobita ma'am, we can start the session.
Thank you, Akbar.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. This is Kobita, and I'm going to do a quick an introduction, actually, to the wild flora of peninsular India. But this the focus is especially Hyderabad because I live here and I've been documenting the flora of Hyderabad for about 4 years, or let's say 5 years, perhaps now. Um, uh, and I do it seasonally, so it's like happens right through the year because the seasonality is very high in Hyderabad. All of you know that it's an semi-arid region where we are at on the Deccan Plateau. And we have a variety of substrates um, in and around Hyderabad. And that is one of the things that determines the kind of flora that grows here, apart from, of course, the climate. And of course, we happen to be in the center of the peninsula, almost like equidistant from the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. So surprisingly, we do share quite a bit of flora from both these regions, those that are well adapted and can survive over here. Right. So I'm just going to give you a brief, very brief glimpse of the kind of flora that we find here. We have them in all categories, as many of you would know, starting from fungi all the way through the herbs and shrubs, right up to the grasses and sedges. Perhaps I can just quickly ask Akbar to Akbar, the next slide, please. So the habitat type is very varied and coupled with the wide seasonality. What I mean by wide seasonality is that we have a very dry season for most of the year. In fact, it's about almost 6 to 8 months, 8 months, I would say. And then we have the wet season. These are the two main seasons we have in Hyderabad. And that along with the habitat type. So we have the open mixed dry deciduous forest. It's mixed with the savanna grassland. Then we have the rocky outcrops and sheet rocks are part of that. We also have several lakes. And then we have the river Musi running through Hyderabad. So all of these various habitats have different flora inhabiting them because of the kind of the base, the flora differs, right? And again, the weather. Sometimes the soil is unable to hold water at all. So as you can see on the extreme left, at that time, they lose their leaves and the grasses all dry out completely. And all the herbaceous plants, they die out. And as soon as the rains start, you can see the marked difference. The wet season is like the one on the left, bottom. It just suddenly all starts turning green. And that's a very short period of about 4 months. And all the plants have to, grow, flower, set seed, and die, or grow their vegetative systems which are underground if they are geophytes. I'll come to that later. I'll explain that later. So this brief 4 months is the time when they can is their vegetative period as well as reproductive period. For most of the plants except the some of the trees and vines, which of course bloom in the dry season, the deciduous tree. Next slide, please. So we start with the fungi. Here you can see, I've just given a very small representation. And this is also with respect to the fact that we're having this challenge now. These are all just examples of things that perhaps you may see when you're out. We've had a few rains, so that could trigger the mushrooms fruiting. So very quickly, like the one on top, again, I will not identify them with their scientific names. We will let iNaturalist identify whenever you are there. So the parasol fungus, if you are going to take pictures for identification, it is better that you also try and get a picture of the gills, which is the picture on its right that you can see, because that helps in identification, better identification. So there are different types of capped fungi. And the last one you can see is a bracket fungus. A lot of that grows on woody stems and on dead wood as well. I'm sorry, always on dead wood. But on trunks, even on woody roots, you get bracket fungi. Then you have fruiting bodies of fungi without caps. So you get the puffball mushroom, which is large and round. Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're large. You have to look carefully. Sometimes they're amongst grasses. Then you have the golden jelly fungus. That's one of the ones we see quite commonly growing on rotten wood, again, rotting wood. And then we have the coral, white coral fungus, which surprisingly I found in the center, practically in the heart of Hyderabad, in someone's large garden. Again, growing on rotting wood material. The other thing that you see very often around our rocky outcrops is the lichens, which many of you may be knowing is a association between algal and fungal bodies. So the alga actually makes the food and the fungus provides support and housing for the alga. So we have two main kinds, which you can see. Most of them are sort of flat on the rocks or on even on bark. We don't get the folios and the fruticose type of lichen, which we can find in more wet climates. So the one on top, the gray one, is actually called a foliar type, but it's also very much like the crustose lichen, which just sticks to the rock. And then the orange one, which is the cobblestone lichen, is a crustose lichen. It looks like cobblestone, as you can see. And if you're curious, these black, round, circular things which you see on the lichen, they're actually the fruiting bodies where the spores are produced. Next slide, please. Then we have the mosses and the liverworts. So in the wet season and almost until December, sometimes even in Jan, the wet season extends, or even in your gardens, because of the constant wetness, if you in any particular area of your garden, you can see mosses. So mosses, it's better to get a clear picture of the fruiting bodies for so that they can be identified. Yeah, so I have not tried identifying them as yet. I've so far seen two kinds of capsules. So once you have to wait for the capsules, which happens towards the latter part of the season, around December, November or December, and take a photo of that as well. Apart from the cushion moss, you can find these on rocks as well as on walls, on sheetrock, and even in your gardens, sometimes even in pots. Then we have the liverworts. Liverworts are again They are a kind of plant. They're called bryophytes, and they have a very simple body, like it's almost like a single cell thick, and they have root like rhizoids, sorry, that absorb water, and they also normally lie flat on the surface. So you can find this disc like haloid uh, shape sometimes in wet areas, especially the grasslands. And the other kind, which they look like little leaves, they're really tiny, so you have to look close. They are the ones most often found on in the rocky areas and in the sandy rocky areas. Next slide, please. We also get the club mosses and the ferns. So the club mosses are what is called Sanjeevani locally. In India, we call it Sanjeevani. It's Selaginella. There are different kinds of Selaginella, different species. So what you can see here is Selaginella bryopteris. And this is most commonly found on our sheetrocks. They can grow even on a thin layer of dust and soil on the sheetrock, but it has to be damp. In the wet season, you can see the green, they're green and leafy. And even if there's a little bit of dryness, like momentarily, if the rain stops and we get about 2 weeks of dryness, they will curl up, the fronds curl up. So they can tide over this dry season by just curling up, becoming dry. And then like magic, once it rains again, they will open up and be green once again. So you may find these being sold, on along roadsides, and they're supposed to be some restorative tonic. But because it's like magic, the dry curled little balls turn into little pellets, like they turn into this lovely leafy fern-like structure. So they're sold as a curiosity mostly along on footpaths. Then we have the ferns, and it really is quite surprising in Hyderabad to see ferns growing wild in several areas. For example, the Chinese brake, you will find it even growing on the pavement. This one was photographed in Jubilee Hills on the pavement, just growing out of the pavement. Sometimes many a time actually you find it on people's leaking pipes, sewage pipes along the building. You'll find sometimes this Chinese brake growing. It's called Terrace Vitata. The other beautiful fern is the ray fern. Normally you come across this on hillsides in the Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats, but it's so nice to see it in Hyderabad. You can find them on walls along with moss. You can see the moss in the back. Generally, walls, they seem to like a little bit of limestone. So they do tend to grow in the, with the lime mortar, which is between, what should I say, granite blocks of walls, So normally that's a good place to look for them. Then you have the elegant rock fern. It's a wonderful, very beautiful fern. Again, you find these in the rocky areas. This one I found in Yachara on sheetrock, between where there were boulders. So this was growing in the shade of the boulders. So it's really nice to, find ferns which you think are so delicate and cannot survive in arid regions. They do survive, in fact, through some of them, like the Chinese brake, survive through the dry season as well, as long as the roots get a little bit of moisture. Okay, next one, please. So now we start with the herbaceous plants, and we have plenty because we must remember that most of our ecosystems that we find around us are open ecosystems, open natural ecosystems. So when we say open, it means there's not too much shade. They're not too many large trees. There are small trees and they're scattered around. Most of our trees tend to grow a little stunted. They don't grow to their full height in our region. And because there's plenty of light, we have numerous herbaceous plants, flowering plants that grow, and they're called ephemerals because they grow normally during the monsoon season, and they may last up to December, but they will eventually die out. So what happens in the monsoon? They sprout from the seeds which are lying dormant in the ground. As soon as the first rains come, they start sprouting. And we have to remember that they all don't sprout at the same time. So you can see them coming up in waves, literally. So some of them will be early. They will start in June as soon as the rain starts. And then you'll find them, some of them may die out by August. Some will start in September and then die out by November end. So there are several, what should I say, times that they come up. Not all of them bloom or grow at the same time. So they're short-lived, and the variety is astounding. It's such a joy to see them. Unfortunately, they're all small, so you have to make the effort to look keenly. But once you start looking, it's amazing. You will always find something new, something interesting on the ground, right? And these plants also support a lot of butterflies. So you will find in our grasslands and in the open ecosystem, you will find plenty of butterflies because of the large variety of plants which serve as host plants as well as nectar plants. So the butterflies make the most of the monsoon season. I've just put a few names down here. They're the common names. And later, if anyone wants to ask me any questions about them, I'll be happy to, answer. For example, this crested lepidognathus, which you see in the center, mound of flowers. It's a very interesting plant. The flowers grow close to the ground on this spiny cushion. So sometimes we also call it a cushion plant. And it sends out stems that have the leaves, as you can see. But the flowers are concentrated on that little spiny cushion. So in the so by December end, they actually die out and dry out. But they will remain very often, they remain on the rocks. And Aparna Vatve, who's from Maharashtra, she studies the flora on the rocks on the Western Ghats. She has mentioned once that the chicks of the red wattle lapwing, which grow in summer, use the dried lepidognathus cushions as camouflage to avoid predators. So they actually crouch down between these dried cushions, and they happen to look similar because they are also brown and the cushion turns brown in the dry season. And that way they can sort of, use that as a camouflage and trick their predators. Next slide, please. Vines and climbers, this again, we have plenty. They're thorny. Some of them are, of course, not thorny, but many of them are. And you can see them scrambling all over bushes and trees wherever they can, get support. So we have very small vines which actually cover the ground, and that's this arrowleaf morning glory, which you can see. It's so tiny. That's my forefinger for size. And sometimes if you're documenting these small flowers, it's always nice to have a little reference point. You would have noticed in the previous slide as well that I had used a pen. So you can use a pen or your finger as a sort of reference to show the size of these flowers, because sometimes it's really hard to make out how big or small they are. The average morning glory is usually small, but vast numbers grow on our in our rocky landscape and in sandy, gravelly areas. Then you have the rosary pea, which many of you know is Guribinjas. Now it's the fruiting season. You may even see some still, on the vines, ready to shed the beautiful black and red seeds. So you can keep a lookout for them now while you're doing the nature challenge. Then you have the Ceylon caper, which the season is over, unfortunately. Satavari, again, you may find a few blooming right now because of these few showers that you've had. It's possible that you may find some flowers. Okay, but most of these flowers will bloom in the monsoon. Okay, next one, please. Okay, so these shrubs are again something that we have in plenty of natural ecosystems. With grasses, thorny shrubs are one of the very important flora. They constitute like a large variety of our flora. So many of them again will start blooming perhaps in May, mostly end of May, and then from June onwards, you'll see a lot of plants. Some of them are early. For example, the wild Karonda, you may catch the last bit of the flowering now. And similarly, Chinese lantern also blooms in dry season. Again, the bush caper, which is Caparis sepiaria, that also may start blooming now, maybe, or end of May. So you may catch a few flowers. Hog plum is a wonderful fruit, especially when you're walking around in the scrub. It's a great snack to have. Please do not eat the skin. It's very astringent. Just squeeze the transparent flesh along with the seed into your mouth, and it's really nice to have when you're feeling a little thirsty and nibbly when you're out in the scrub. Jackal jujube, of course, is related to the bear, what we all know, the Indian plant. It flowers and fruits profusely and has beautiful arrangement of leaves, which is really striking actually in the scrub. You'll notice it right. Next slide, please. Trees. I think I have, I really haven't done any justice to the trees of our region. But here, these are some of them who like the rocky areas. We have the Indian laburnum. Most of you are familiar with it because you grow it in your gardens or they're planted in the city, amalthas. And then you have the right ear. This season has been amazing for the right ears in our region. I mean, they have just been, it's like they've been covered with snowflakes. Absolutely beautiful. And they have a lovely mild perfume, very beautiful, called Pala Indigo, right? That's called, that is right ear tinctoria. Leaves can, and in some parts of the tree, yield a dye, which is why that name is a blue dye. Also, the sap from the tree, apparently, when a few drops are added to milk, it prevents the milk from spoiling when it is kept out unrefrigerated. I haven't tried it personally. The Indian ash is very, very common in our region in Hyderabad. It's present in the gravelly open plains as well as on the hills and in the rocky areas. The fruits, which you can see a small photo at the bottom, the fruits are green now, but they will turn red, and you almost don't see red fruit only because the birds get to them very quickly. So they're a big draw for the birds, the frugivorous birds, those who like to eat fruit. So do keep an eye out for them. As and when the fruits ripen, they're gone. And then we have the wild guava, which is Careya arborea, a beautiful tree with spectacular large flowers. The flowering is just over. The fruit will be on the tree. It's not edible, but the fruit does resemble a guava, hence the name. Then we have at the bottom, again, I haven't done justice to this tree. It's one of the, it's an iconic tree of our region. It's Krishna Ciris, Albizia amara. I think the flowering is still on many trees. It's got a beautiful faint perfume. As you walk by in the mornings, especially, you can get a fragrance. And it can go leafless for long periods. It has these small mimosa-like leaves and beautiful twisted flat pods. Cover the tree in the dry season in November, December, January. So you can look out for the Krishna Ciris area. Next one. So geophytes. These are some of our favorites, only because they are adapted. These geophytes, it means that they have a bulbous or a root, a stem or a root system. Either it is, like a potato, or it's like an onion, or it's like a carrot, a long, fleshy root. And these roots will store energy in underground. And when the plant, in the dry season, when the plant dries out, the root stock is alive. And once the rains begin, or when the season is favorable, the plants will grow. So the speciality about these is they are there perennially underground. And most of them are endangered because they lose their habitat. People don't understand. You notice that, there are these things which are underground. We think it's just, barren almost. The soil is dry. Even in rocky areas, they love rocky areas as well. Just a thin layer of soil is more than enough for many of them. And that's how they survive. They emerge in the rains. They have tuberous roots, basically, which help them tide over the dry season. So we have our very own squill called Hyderabad squill. It is a bulbous root underground. And you will see nothing on the rocks now, but as soon as the monsoon begins, they will all sprout. And the Hyderabad squill, if you notice, the leaves are sort of landslide and they do not have spots on them. And they have been reported from, in 2012, they were, identified, and they were called Ledaboria hydrabadensis because they were found only over here. One of the people who discovered it was M.V. Ramana. And I have found Hyderabad squill plenty on the sheetrock in Gandipet area, Osman Sagar. Unfortunately, that sheetrock area has been claimed, and it belongs to somebody, and I think they're going to be building there. So we're going to lose a lot of these plants. It's very, very sad, unfortunate. You can see this is the way it grows. The bottom picture with the little pink bits. I'm sorry, it's blurred because managed to get a clear picture of all the inflorescences. So it grows between the little bits of tufts of grass, and this is on very thin soil. It's about like from 2 inches, 3 inches, of soil. These can sprout. The bulbs are very small, and they lie hidden underground. Now, the South Indian squill is more common, but again, you can find it in grasslands, right? You do not find South Indian squill in the rocky areas on sheetrock. And similarly, you do not find Hyderabad squill in the grasslands, at least so far. I have not found it. If it has been reported, or if you do find it, that will be great. It'll be a new sighting, let's say. The glory lily, perhaps many of you are familiar. This is iconic lily. It's a vine actually, twining creeper. So it uses the ends of the leaves. They act as tendrils and holds. That helps it clamber over neighboring shrubs and rock surfaces, whatever it finds. The glory lily is absolutely spectacular. You can find it even in the grasslands, open forests, as well as in the rocky areas. All of it. And then we have the catsias, very, very common all across the rocky areas in Hyderabad, as well as in the grasslands. Then we have these two, which were, I thought, amazing. I mean, I was so excited to find them. Two ground orchids. One is Roxburgh's Habenaria, this white one, and then the yellow one, which is the golden yellow Habenaria. Both of these were in the open forest ecosystem, right? So they were in one particular locality. Again, that locality is now threatened with the road expansion work. There's a highway coming up, and I think they're trying to, at least rumor has it, that this area may be converted into an urban forest park. So I'm hoping, at least few of these will survive, because they create a lot of disturbance. Even in a natural ecosystem, there's a lot of planting happening, and it is happening right now. It has been happening for the past 4 years, especially the past 2 years. It's been really, really bad. So they dig up and plant a whole lot of trees that actually don't belong in that particular area. They may be native trees to India, but they really don't belong there in this reserve forest area. So these two orchids we discovered last year, in fact, that they're growing there. So it was exciting, but at the same time, feeling a little worried whether they're going to be able to continue to survive there. The other exciting little plant here is, I don't know whether you can see it, the petals are very slim. It's called the Indian grass lily. And again, this is something that is found in the Western Ghats, and I actually found it growing in the grassland, open grassland, as well as in the gravelly, sandy soils of the rocky habitats. Again, very rare. I found very few plants. They're hard to spot also amongst the grasses, but on bare ground you can spot them. Very delicate little plants. That's why it's called the grass lily. It just looks like grass actually. Until it flowers, you don't know that you can mistake it for grass. And then, of course, another little beauty from our savanna forest, the golden eye grass, which is Curculigo ochioides. They come up in the beginning of the monsoons, and really lovely to see and chance upon them, because these bright little yellow flowers. They're all small flowered, except for glory lily, which I think can really grab your attention. All the others you have to look for quite closely. And the excitement is also in that, when you have to literally hunt for something and see closely. Part of the excitement is in that, discovering these things. They suddenly just, pop out. You move a couple of leaves or a blade of grass, few tall grasses, and you come across something. And it's really exciting. The other thing is, of course, to see the beauty of these things. They're so small, and yet, they're so beautiful. When you see them up close, it's just quite amazing, So you can fall in love with them all over again. Okay, we can do the next slide. The other astounding thing about our region is the grasses. We have an amazing variety, definitely about 70 species, if I'm not mistaken, between cypress and then grasses. They're two different things. Cypress are sedges or rushes, and grasses, of course, they belong to the family Poaceae. So sedges will come up again in wet areas, again monsoon time. We have plenty of lakes, and the surroundings of the lake can be marshy. So you can find them in this marshy area and in the rocky areas where little pools accumulate, ephemeral pools during the monsoon season. So it's just amazing what variety of sedges you can get, rushes or sedges, and they're all very beautiful because it's so completely different. The flowering heads, they come in all sorts of shapes, sizes, and colors. So it's quite something. Identification may be difficult in the beginning, and we hope maybe in the near future we can have our own little booklet or some sort of information, pages identifying Hyderabad's grasses and sedges, because they're hard. It's not easy, but they're absolutely beautiful to enjoy though. So the grasses here, just a few iconic ones. You have the double row love grass, desert black millet. All these are found on the rocks. Comet grass as well. Sandy and rocky areas mostly. Black spear grass is very common. Heteropogon contortus. Wonderful to see. I won't go into the details now, but if you're walking, if you join us on our nature walks, we can get to know them a little better. Then you have the sticky love grass, which because they come, it starts out in this deep pink sort of purplish shade, and then it kind of fades to this, pale pink or off-white. And it looks really pretty when you come across them on the ground. And then we have this fantastic grass, which is the hairy rock grass. It's an Oropitium species. It's called the desiccation tolerant grass, and it's amazing. It can dry up, and between rains, if you have like 2-week gaps, also they may dry a bit and just remain standing. And then as soon as the rain, they get sufficient water, they become green again, and they can grow on the thinnest of soils. They're almost like pioneer species laying down the soil for the next layer of plants to come along. So they are along with the cyanotis, which is called caxias. Along with that, they occupy these very thin slivers of soil, and along with the mosses and marchantia liverworts, they actually help to form soil for other plants to grow on. So they're wonderful species. They're hidden on the rocks. You don't get to see them through the beds. Next slide, please. So I left out many, but I thought I'd sneak in this slide of some of these other charismatic species. How could I, leave out the sundew, which is called flycatcher? Again, these are all tiny plants, small flowers, but they're absolutely wonderful. And the flycatcher, the sundew, actually is losing ground rapidly because there's so much disturbance. Even on sheetrock, where they used to be abundant in KBR, with all the interventions in KBR, with all the walking paths and planting of trees and hedges, we where you could see Drosera, that's what it's called, Drosera. This is indica, and then there is Drosera burmani also in KBR. You don't find them anymore where we used to. This was, I'm talking about almost 15, 18 years ago, more than that. So the more we disturb these landscapes, the more we try to, there's human interference, the more we try to make landscape areas, we're just destroying their habitats, that's all. And, it's our loss, nothing else. Perhaps, and the creatures may go with them. We have stinging coneflower. Now, this is a really interesting plant. It's Strobilanthus. It's a Strobilanthus species. And everyone goes, wow, about Strobilanthus growing in the Western Ghats because it grows, carpets the ground. But this is quite a wow plant because it flowers now in the dry season. It's flowering from in March and in April. in the really dry season. So it's always amongst the dried fallen grass. It has these grayish green leaves which are covered with hair. I don't know whether they sting because I didn't know them, but I don't know why it's called stinging cone flower, but it's Strobilanthus urens. Uh, and it can survive in this completely dry, sandy areas in the grasslands, especially. They survive. It's amazing how they do this. Tiny little plants, tiny little flowers, uh, and you really have to look hard to find them. Okay. Then we have the black cleaver, Iconocarpus. I think it's not so common, but sometimes on neglected hedges and fences you can find it. So please do look out for them, but they will flower only in September, maybe late August or September. Beautiful creeper. Then creeping rangia again will cling to the ground. You can see them around September to November. Very beautiful inflorescence spike, like you can see. They're all close-ups. They're actually pretty small. Thick leaf lavender is an iconic plant of the rocky areas, always growing at the base of boulders. And in the season, you can see this lovely, purplish, misty purplish color surrounding the boulders on the rocks. It's because of these, numerous flowering spikes of thick leaf lavender. Then this bharangi is amazing. It's again a Western Ghats species which we find here in our in the western areas of the city, especially reserve forest areas. This is visible. It really catches your eye. They're rather large, these inflorescences. And the flowers are amazing, very interesting. So do look out for them. Again, monsoon, height of the monsoon season. Same with the tag spider plant, very pretty. You can find them in the gravelly, sandy areas around the rocks. Then the East Indian vine, again, it's, you just may not take a second look at it till it flowers. It has this, mass of branch-like smooth uh, branches. What are branches? There are no leaves on it. So it's just a tangled mass of these cylindrical straw-like branches, which are blue-green, grayish-green in color. And then when it blooms, at the tips of the branches, you get these heads of flowers, very beautiful. They bloom again early in the monsoon. So do keep an eye out for it. And then the last one, it's an amazing bush. It's also called Woodrow's grape tree, but I don't know why. It says it uses the word grape here because it belongs to the family, grape family, Vitaceae. Woodrow's grape bush I've only found in the western wet areas of Hyderabad. It's an amazing shrub that grows up quickly, almost 4 feet plus in the rainy season, and then it dies out completely. You'll find no trace of it in the dry season. And then this photograph is when it has just started out growing. It flowers practically immediately. It, pops out of the soil. So just on a bare soil, it pops out. It's really amazing to see. Wonderful shrub. It looks absolutely beautiful. And then it has a lot of medicinal value. So again, it's threatened because people dig out the roots of this plant, and use it in traditional medicine. Most of our plants have, they are used in traditional medicine. Of the plants, whether they are herbs, creepers, trees, shrubs, they all have medicinal value. So they're all precious, nonetheless. Next slide, please. So that brings us to the end of this. All I would like to say is, you need to keep your eyes peeled literally for these small little beauties, small wonders, as we call them. They're not charismatic in the true sense, like, you admire a hibiscus or, or even a gulmohar or, any of these ornamentals. Some of them are perhaps, the trees can be quite charismatic, striking, strikingly charismatic. But the others are charismatic, but they're really small. You have to look for them, right? And what is important to remember here is all of these plants are supremely adapted to our region. They can live in these harsh conditions of, um, less water or no water, and dryness, right? Hyderabad region is known to be dry. There's not much humidity there. So they have adapted over millennia, and they are the best. So they sustain life, they sustain themselves, they sustain a lot of life. All flora are actually the base of the pyramid. So they insects and other small creatures live on them, and the birds as well. And then it goes on, right? In the pyramid builds till we get to apex species. But the vast variety of flora that we have, given the kind of conditions in our region, it's just amazing, absolutely. And I think we have to do our utmost, know them, to get familiar with them, to appreciate them, and then to save them in little areas at least, without disturbing them, because they're very specific. Their adaptations are extremely specific. And, change the soil. They grow in very poor soils. There are very specific requirements for pH, and such things. Minerals also. Some of them are very specific to what lies underneath the substrate. So we have to, take care to protect them in situ. You cannot take them home and grow them. It's just not, it doesn't happen, right? Most of the time they will die out on you. So they should remain where they are. But, we need to really understand why they are so amazing. They don't require us to take care of them. All we need to do is let them be, and they will do the rest, right? They provide food and support for millions of creatures that we have no idea about. We just learn, which is why I actually, by the way, look at the small fauna as well, because we find them all around these plants. The small flora also has a lot of small fauna around. So it's very exciting. So please go out there, enjoy, find them. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, please continue.
I think Kobita, are you done, Kobita?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kobita. I don't know if there are any questions or anything. We are just 2 minutes away from 8. So if there are any questions, you can put in a few questions in the chat box, or else if anybody wants any introduction to iNet, any support with iNaturalist app, Ram is there to help all of you. So you can post your questions on that as well.
Most of the volunteers are here for understanding these INAT observations only. So I request Ram to demonstrate how to upload the observations.
Yes, sure. Okay, so before that, if anyone has any questions, please you can unmute yourself and ask Kobita ma'am. Else I will share about iNaturalist. Okay, so I'm just going to share from my phone. Yeah, Chitra ma'am has some questions, I think. Yeah, I see a couple of hands raised. Yeah, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Should I go first?
Yes, yes. Hi, Padmavati. Please go ahead.
Hi. Hi. I really love this presentation because I never knew that there's such a treasure of information to be shared from Hyderabad, which also earlier was a part of AP, so my home state. So now I'm from Visakhapatnam. So I just wanted to know what is there any, and I stay in Delhi. So I also lead tree walks for wildlife fund for nature here at Delhi. I just wanted to know, is there any resource where we can find, look out for the native flora of Hyderabad?
So it's not widely available. M.V. Ramana actually brought out a book on, the flora of KBR, but I think it was a limited edition in print. I haven't managed to lay my hands on it. I borrowed the book from a friend who has it, and it's quite comprehensive, but again, not all of it is in that. And even in my, searches, I've come across, for example, there's a PDF available, which is if you Google biodiversity, glimpses of biodiversity of Hyderabad. Again, it is Dr. Chelmela Srinivasu and M.V. Ramana and some others who have put that together. It's pretty comprehensive. It's about fauna and flora, the biodiversity. So they've just listed them. So that's a good reference point. It's a listing. But again, in my opinion, many have been missed out. And I don't agree with some of the listings, but yes.
Thank you so much. I'll definitely look out for this.
Sure. Anytime you want, you can get in touch. I'll help you. Sure.
Thanks
Oh,
a
yes.
lot. Thank you.
Farida says there's a Telangana field guide on biodiversity from the State Biodiversity Board. So go for it.
I had one earlier long ago, AP Biodiversity Boards.
Right.
Is that the same or is this a different one?
Padmavati, that is maybe some bit is same, but there are some Telangana additions after Telangana was formed. So there are some difference also.
Okay. Thank you.
Chitrama?
I'm sorry, I started the video instead of the mic. Kobita, that was an awesome presentation.
Thank you.
I would really like to go on more walks with you. Habinaria, I have a query. So
Yes.
Habinaria, I have seen in hilly regions. Where in Hyderabad have you seen Habinaria?
In this zone, Chevela side, Mudimial.
Okay, the weather is cooler, is it there?
Not necessarily. They grow. So, Habenaria roxburghii grows in the shade of trees. And the golden Habenaria, marginata, grows actually in the sunny area. But it's kind of located in a dried stream bed. It's very surprising the kind of places. But the white one, Habenaria roxburghii, like shade. So it's always in the shade of trees.
You have really found treasure, I should say that.
I tell you, I was so excited. So can you imagine the kind of, the wonderful stuff we have? And, if without knowing it, we are going and intervening in these areas. They are.
I totally agree. Have you checked Enkatala grasslands?
I actually haven't been there. I ought to. We can go together.
Yeah, because I've seen the black creeper
Take
there.
me to
Fauna, which is very good.
We should all go. Farida, you can organize.
After the rain, yes, please. Yes. After the rain.
It would be lovely.
Thank you so much, Kobita.
Hey, thank you.
We will be sharing the recordings with all the groups from where you all are all joined. So you can also take a look at the pictures once again on the recording. Anybody has any more? There was one question which I think we missed from Hopeland. He says, was very unfamiliar with the common names. Curious to know the source of the names.
Again, lot of the sources, Flowers of India, or sometimes there are other, like, you know, the Indian Institute of Science, they have a herbarium, they have some common names over there. So that's, I specifically, in fact, I normally only give scientific names alongside, but I thought it would become too heavy for everyone, and I'd be happy to provide them, because for me, that's the best way to do it, is to go by the scientific name. There's no doubt, there is no, the full clarity when you go with that name. And common names, sometimes they can, overlap with other species, so it's a bit of a thing. But I wasn't sure who's, a lot of people who are just interested in nature who are going to be looking at it today, so which is why, I didn't add the scientific names. But I can do that. I can share that information.
Okay, wonderful. Any more questions from anyone? Okay, so now,
Yeah. No, Ram, you can go ahead. I think we
Okay.
must thank Kobita for this wonderful presentation. Really
Yes,
interesting. It's
definitely.
always very exciting to hear you, Kobita, with all the tiny plants,
So much.
flowers, and all you bring out from everywhere.
Thank
So
you. Thank
we
you. Thank you.
all
There's
hope
lots
that-
more.
Yeah,
We'd love to.
I'm
It'll be
sure.
fun.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kobita.
Thanks a
Yeah,
lot.
Tabassum, you wanted to ask something?
There's a hand raised from the.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually wanted to ask. So I have registered myself. With the Google form, the link that was provided to me.
Tabassum, I think your voice is breaking.
Hello. Yeah, am I
Yeah,
audible?
hi. Yes, you're audible
Hello.
now.
Yes, sir. So I have like all of my friends. I am from Sumaya, so we have registered ourselves, and a particular location is being provided. So we have done for that as well. So for if I come tomorrow there, so how am I supposed to like coordinate with anyone, or how is it? I just wanted to ask about that.
So let me take this. Hi, Tabassum, this is Farmeen, and this is a query specific to a Mumbai location. So the posters which have been shared with you have the coordinator's name along with the number. So feel free to reach out to the coordinator once you reach that place at the designated time provided. So hope
Okay, ma'am.
that answers your query.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. And if you have anything further, something more specific, you can always reach out on the WhatsApp group.
Sure, ma'am. Will do. Thank you so much.
Most welcome.
Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about City Nature Challenge. Of course, thank you very much, Kobita ma'am, for the wonderful
Thank you so
session.
much,
And
Ram. Thank you. Thank
yes.
you, and Akbar, for all the trouble.
Yes, so this was one of our objectives, that to have people connect more with the nature, and truly appreciate the wonders which we have, and how much blessed we are that we have such a biodiversity around us. These boulders and rocks we have, and such amazing flora which are on these rocks and around these rocks, and in the whole ecosystem, they are very unique, and we must act fast, act now to preserve them. And projects like City Nature Challenge are a very good platform using which we can collect this biodiversity data and help the researchers and policymakers to be more strong about conserving these resources, and also saving our ecosystem. So this is the side of the City Nature Challenge or any citizen science project, which is how this can help them. Now, while talking about how this can help us, of course, we what we really want is, or what we are really looking forward is, that everyone to be to feel more connected with nature. So what we expect, or like what I expect myself is to upload observations and learn about those species, because many of them, we are very new to them. So that is where CT90 challenge, and not only this challenge, like, even later we want this engagement to be a very long-term engagement, and, to work uh, towards getting more close with the nature. And if we all join together and, we have the data available, and, we can highlight the urgency of conservation of species and ecosystem, then definitely the government and, we can help the researchers and government to take steps even more harder. Now coming to the iNaturalist app, for the City Nature Challenge, which is happening from today till Monday, we are expecting everyone to upload their observations, any plant or animal which they are looking at, any wildlife from ant to elephant. Please observe very closely and upload all of your observations. For that, we have the iNaturalist app, which we are using. For those who are using it for the first time or who have not tried it earlier, if you are facing any issues, I'm going to give a quick demonstration by uploading one observation in front of you right now. If you have any questions, you can ask me. So this is the Android app which I'm using. The workflow is more or less same for Android and iOS. And the web portal is a little different. If there is enough demand, we can show about web portal demo as well. But there is already a recorded video using which you can see all the details about, how to upload these and all. So I'll just quickly show how to upload your observations. So in this screen, you can see these are my observations. This is my app. So on the bottom right corner, there is a plus icon. Clicking on this, you can start observing. And your observations could start by taking the photo in the app itself, or if you've already taken the app, you can choose that photo and upload. So I'm going to use this option of choosing photo. And then let's say I can pick any of these pictures here. I can pick even more than one of them. So let's say I've taken this one photo. Since my settings of camera are by default settings, so in default settings, the time and the place will automatically be recorded. So you can see that it is showing when this picture was taken and where this picture was taken. So these two things are already available. Now, actually, I can directly upload this observation right now. What I need, the bare minimal requirement is having a picture of the wildlife which I'm seeing and the location and time. So all these three things are given and I can just upload it right now. But to be able to help the identifiers easily and to be able to, get it to the research grade level easily, we should also provide something, in the second line, you can see here, second row, it says, what did you see? So I can click here. It will also give us suggestions like, which plant is it likely to be. So it says that we are not confident enough to make us recommendation, but here are, top suggestions. So in such cases, like, you can just leave it and you can just mention that this is a plant or a tree. That's all I know about it because I'm not an expert. So I can just write plant and I can click on this second option which says plant, and that's it. That's all I really need to do at this moment. And I can upload the observation using the tick icon which is given in the bottom. So and after once this is done, then people will come here and they will recommend what do they think they think this is. So initially, when your observation is uploaded, at that time this is of casual grade. If it has the photo and the location, in that case, this will be of the stage in which your observation will be shown is called needs ID. So I will show you, for example, this hibiscus is which I put up here. You can see the data quality shows is second one. This is needs ID in the bottom of the screen. So if it will be of casual grade if either photo or location or time is not given, but since I have given photo, location, and time all three, then it says this needs ID. So few people will come here, like, the other observers, they will come and they will suggest which ID or like which species this is. And after 2 or 3 identifications and verifications, this will be moved into the research grade. So that is like, the whole workflow, how your observation is uploaded and then it is identified and then it becomes a research grade. So that's mostly it about the, how you generally observe. If you have any specific questions, you can ask now. So I we hope that all of you would have already tried uploading your observation. So if you have faced any issues or if you have any questions, you can ask.
I have a question about the captive or cultivated. इसके बारे में
Yes. Yeah, so I'll just go through that because this is one of the frequently asked questions about captive and cultivated. So let's say I've taken this picture of one plant here, and there is an option of is it captive or cultivated. So this option basically is to ensure or to see what kind of observation wildlife which we looked at. So we are using these two terms here. One is captive and second is cultivated. We use the word cultivated for all the species, all the things which we have cultivated ourselves. So for them, we use the cultivated option. For example, if I planted a tree in my garden, I will say that this is a cultivated observation. Similarly, we use the term captive for animals. So let's say the animals which are kept in the zoo are in captivity, or the pets which you keep at home are captive. If I talk in a very loose terms, any wildlife which is available or present at a place because we humans wanted it to be there is called captive or cultivated. We planted the tree or we bought some animal at some particular location, that is the captive or cultivated. Otherwise, this will be of wild category, which means they are free to go anywhere and they are here on their own wish. So yeah, that's the general definition. So let's say if I have planted a tree in my garden, that is a cultivated observation, but the butterflies and all the wildlife around them is wild. So I need not to mark captive or cultivated for them. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah,
But
thank you.
and again, yeah, and also just to add a note to it, this is going to be slightly there is no fixed boundary on what is cultivated and what is not. For example, roadside trees and all. So as we are kind of just getting started into the citizen science like INSVist and all, so I'll say initially you need not to focus much. You need not to focus much on this thing, but in general, if you have got the idea what it is for, you can just go ahead and use your own understanding and pick the option accordingly.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes. And as Nopur asked here, the projects on which you are seeing the results right now, they are the collection projects, which means they are kind of just a search. So if we say that this is City Nature Challenge Hyderabad, all the observations which are made in Hyderabad from 28th till 1st will be considered for City Nature Challenge Hyderabad. We need not to do anything specific for that. Okay. Any other questions from anyone? Farida ma'am, you want to add anything?
We can ask questions from
nothing
participants.
specific, Ram. Nothing
Yeah.
specific. I think that everybody is all excited, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of observations. Whichever city you are from, please ensure that you upload your observations and try to look for even the tiny things. Don't look at all the big ones. Then we've today found lots and lots of insects and all these lesser known things which we need to also come to know, and we need to also protect those. So let us focus and look down on the ground also, and not only in the air. That's all.
Yes, yes. So I'm just quickly sharing the options which you can see the live results on iNaturalist website. So this is where you can see. Yes, so these are the data I wanted to share. So right now, if you see in terms of observations, Hyderabad is right here, which is I think
How cool
almost
is
in top
that?
10.
So cool.
So we already got 1800 observations up here. And in terms of species as well, Hyderabad is not far away. Again, in top spots. In number of people, we are slightly lagging behind, but yeah, we can reach further. So yeah, that's about global level. And when it comes to India level, I'll just refresh this screen to make sure that we are seeing the latest data. So yes, this is the India level data.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yes.
Hyderabad is on top.
Could also say that maybe we are jobless. We were all out. Other people are
And
busy.
this,
It's Friday.
yeah. And this Nanak Matta is from Uttarakhand. They have
Ah,
participated earlier as well. They are like one of the
ah,
early participators in City Nature Challenge in general. So this is
wow.
in terms of observations. In terms of species as well, Hyderabad is doing great. And in terms of number of observers, we need to increase our numbers. In that case, Bangalore is doing. Yeah.
Only 81.
So
Wow.
Hi, hi. Can I, Farida says, thank you. And good number. Yeah, it's very good to listen. Yeah,
yes,
we are in the third place. It is not, whole India के बारे में बात करने तो बहुत अच्छा है.
We
yes,
definitely need to increase the participants.
We need, yeah, that's the main thing. My
Yeah,
main
your goal is,
focus
yes,
to
your
get
focus.
more participants. That's my goal.
Yeah, very good idea. Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, what happened here? Bang.
yes. Yeah, so and on the city level, if you want to see, you can go to the city project, which is City Nature Challenge Hyderabad, or your own city, and there you can see maximum number of observations made by the user, maximum number of species which are covered, or maximum
Oh,
most observed species like that. So yes, these are the three places where you can see global, Indian, and city level
yay, Chitra.
results. Yeah, Chitra ma'am is rocking.
No, I think I'm the jobless person.
No, but you've been doing this over a long time.
Ram
I've
sir,
been lazy and not doing it at all. So I could have done it, for years now. But yeah, good
Yes, Agla
start.
sir.
there is a query by Mahalakshmi Pillai. Is it compulsory to take photos in the given locations?
Yeah, so basically the idea is that, for example, in case of Hyderabad, this is the area which is mentioned here. Okay, so your observation, whatever you are making, they should be inside these areas. So let's say if you are residing outside Hyderabad and you want to make some observations there, you can ask us, we can add those places. For example, this is one college which wanted to contribute from this place, so we specifically added this college here. So you can see the location on the project. It will mention exactly what is the area which is covered as part of that city. You can see this area for all the cities, and just make sure that your observations are from inside this area. Then it will be counted for city nation challenge.
Also,
you.
Ram, I think maybe this question also could be directed, maybe if it's not a photograph, but it's an audio of the
Oh,
species.
okay.
So probably
Yeah.
you can answer it in that manner also, yes.
Right. So in terms of type of observation, it can be anything. It can be a photograph, it can be a sound recording, it can be, a GIF also. Like sometimes people also have video, so you can convert video into a GIF file and you can upload that. Or even without photos also, because sometimes, and yeah, you can also take photos of dead organism. It need not to be like alive. And you can also, take photos of pug marks or any other signs like, scratch signs of sloth bear or anything like that. You can observe them. And if you do not have photo, you can just mention what did you see, and that's it. It will be of casual grade. It will not be of, it will not go into the research grade, but it will remain in casual grade, but still it will be counted. Because, like you have seen something, so yes, flaunt it and make an observation about it.
Okay.
Yeah, and when it comes to the days, the observation has to be made between April 28th and May 1st. But you can also upload this observation after May 1st, like, in next 2-3 days. So the results will be announced on May 8th. So till then, till 7th, you can actually upload your observations. Because, for example, on Monday, if Chitra ma'am is going out, she's going to take lots of pictures and she will need, a couple of hours at least to be able to upload. So that is sufficient time for that.
That's true. It's faster that way.
Yeah.
Because it was taking quite a lot of time. I was doing it, for every observation. And
Yeah.
that took time. And wherever I was only within my garden. In a 500 square yard, I had to check every time for the location because it kept giving me, if you want to be specific, it kept changing it a little bit here and there, So,
Yeah. Yeah, and the web portal is like, if someone has already got used to the app, I will strongly recommend to check the web portal of iNaturalist. This is very, very easy to upload pictures using web portal. we already have recording of the demo of using web,
You were
uploading
saying.
observations using web portal. Yes.
Yes.
So that is very easy. And, those who are taking more, multiple pictures, please use that. And we are kind of like targeting around 100 observations from every participant. So that is not much actually, if you look at it. Just 10-15 observations in the morning, 10-15 in the evening. If you do all 4 days, you will reach 100 observations. And 10 observations definitely, like, when you are going out, you are seeing, like 4 or 5 trees, and then you will see some birds, you will see some butterflies or spider or ants or things like this. So you are definitely going to make a lot more of observations. So while you are making your observations on the app, do not worry much about, like giving details and all. You to get started, you can just click picture and you can just upload. And then you can come home and you can just sit, relax, and then you can see which species was it. And you can use the AI computer vision of iNaturalist itself, and it will suggest you. If it says that we are pretty sure that this is the wildlife, then like it's usually 95% confirmed that this is what it is. So yeah, I mean, this is how I also do it. I just click pictures and I just keep upload, and then when I'm home, yeah, and then when I'm home, I'll just use like the suggestions which species it is. And if I have multiple pictures, then I use the web portal. Yes. Any other questions from chat or anything? Okay, so I see one question here. May I know at what stage it would be a research, like?
After 3
Yeah, right. So basically, as I mentioned, the research grade is basically if you have uploaded your observation with the time and date, the time, place, and with the photo. This is already, it is complete from your side. Now only the identification needs to be done. So the identification will be done by like fellow iNaturalist, and then they will identify and they will verify. Once 2 or 3 people identify and verify, this will become of a research grade. So you need not to worry about that. If you want to see specific examples, you can just go to these observations, and there you will see the grade there. Once few people have verified the identification, then this will become of research grade. Akbar sir, is there any other questions?
There is one question, Ram, which says, I have clicked few pictures today. How do we upload it so that it gets recorded in the project?
Yes, so you need not do anything. Just as I shown here, you can open your mobile and you can one by one, like for one observation, if like let's say if you saw one spider, if you took 2 or 3 photos of a spider, that is one observation. If you saw, let's say, one butterfly, you took 1 photo, then that is one observation. So for these different observations, you can just take those pictures and upload it on the iNaturalist app. And that will be that's all from your side. That will be considered as part of the project. If you want, I can show that again. For example, in this case, on the top, I have already selected this one photo. This is the picture of the plant which I have taken. So I added, let's say if I want to add one more picture of the same plant, for example, let's say this is the another photo. And then here I can see, what did I see? I can just mention, like, let's say I just want to say that this is a plant which I have seen here. So I just mentioned a plant and I can just upload it. Once I upload, that's all I have to do. This will be automatically considered as part of the City Nature Challenge of your city, Hyderabad or Bangalore or Mumbai or Chennai. That's all you have to do. Just take pictures, add those pictures here and just upload. Yeah, so if you have any questions about what qualifies for your location, you can just go to your city project website and you can check there what is the area which is shown there. Okay, and if anyone else has any questions, you can please ask. You can unmute yourself and ask. If there is any questions in the chat section, Akbar sir, can you please just check?
Thank you so much, actually, Ram, for this. And I just wanted to thank also the entire Hyderabad team for organizing this session, and Kobita for inspiring us to really get out now and to get the flavor of it all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, so I think if there are no more questions, maybe we can call it a day. And happy CNC to all of you. And
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
hoping that at least Hyderabad will keep staying on top.
Yes, and thank you, Hyderabad, for giving us such lovely competition. This is going to get us more motivated.